Synthaholics. It's the Red Tribal Podcast.
Welcome to Synthaholics, your weekly shot of Star Trek. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is Aaron O'Brien and Holly Michelle Vine. Hey guys, we actually lost our original intro, so I'm just recording this to give you a heads up for the show. We ran into some technical difficulties with the hardware, and for the first 10 or so minutes, it's a little like wormhole sounding, like the audio isn't perfect. I cut out all the parts that were completely unintelligible, so it's a little bit difficult to listen to for the first few minutes, but then it evens out for the remainder after that first few minutes. So if you want to skip ahead to about the 10-minute mark, that's when it starts clearing up. Today on our episode, we're talking about the Deep Space Nine episode, The Muse. Part of the part that got cut was we talked about the news, about the Star Trek short tracks and the Star Trek lawsuit or the cease and desist that happened to the Star Trek Next Generation virtual reality experience. We got to tour that. So unfortunately, those things had to be cut because they were just unintelligible due to the issues with the audio. Ordered new cables that'll go between the audio interface and the recorder. So hopefully that'll take care of stuff going forward. So again, I apologize about some of the audio mix-ups, but most of what you just missed was just a little bit of news and part of the recap for the DS9 episode, The Muse. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening.
The issue was between the two is the Italians, they raise their children due to their sex. So the men raise the boys and the women raise the girls.
Sounds like Sparta.
Sparta. And they kick people down wells.
Yes. Especially people with jelly legs.
Jelly legs, get in there. So she is running from her husband. So apparently, during some time has passed that Lwaxana got remarried once again. How many times has she been married?
I don't know, because I remembered her getting married, and I don't remember it being that guy.
So she married Deanna's dad, and then she married some guy on TNG. And now she's married to this guy, and then she marries Odo in this episode. So she's had 4 husbands that we know about, and she spent half of Next Gen trying to get in Picard's pants.
Yeah, she definitely did.
Trying to ride his bald head.
It kind of makes you, wonder about her as a person. She's
a slut, and she likes it.
I didn't think I'd be able to get pregnant again.
Well, here
I
we
thought I
are.
could just have sex with whoever I wanted.
Turkey basters. Yeah. Because in TNG she did go through the menopause thing, where women get 4 times as horny, or Beta said women get 4 times as horny as they normally would. So I don't know.
Right, and apparently there's some way that the Tavians can get Beta Zeds pregnant.
Yes, it's Sparta. This is Temnia.
That's right. Lwaxana doesn't want her child to be just raised by her husband. She wants to have the child with her. Obviously, she's the mother, so she doesn't want to go through with this. So she's looking for Odo for help, and Odo seems to want to keep his distance from her.
Mm-hmm.
If the listeners doesn't know, Odo and Lwaxana have a little bit of history between each other. Lwaxana really is into Odo, but I think Odo thinks Lwaxana's gross because she's not a changeling. But I could be wrong.
But he did melt into her clothes when they got stuck in the elevator that one time.
Yes, he did. Yeah, it was kind of nice.
That sucks. Even in the future, he can still get stuck on an elevator.
Doesn't sound nice, though.
It doesn't, but it was actually a very sweet moment. I honestly gotta say the stories where Lwaxana and Odo come together, and I think there's only 2.
They're super sweet.
They're so sweet. I just love those two together so much. I just wish they'd figure it out.
I wish they would too, because the Kira thing just felt forced. Because Kira is
Yeah.
all about like all these different Vedics. She loves betting the religious types.
Yeah, she likes them. She likes those religious men.
And then in the mirror universe, she's all into herself and women.
Yeah, that's true.
It was kind of funny. I heard someone like in a Star Trek group on Facebook going like, "Do you think Mira Stamets was gay?" And then someone was like, "Well, you can't change who you are across the universe." And I'm like, Kira. She was definitely straight in our universe, and she was at least bi, if not hard lesbian, in Mirror Universe. So it doesn't hold true.
I think she was bi. In then. So we get that scene between Lwaxana and Odo, and then later we see Jake. He's working on a story, and the alien woman that was giving him eyes before, she approaches him, and her name is Onea.
Would you like some orange juice?
And she... Why did you say that?
Because he drinks a lot of orange juice.
It's true. So she's telepathic, so she's doing something with them. It's funny, Worf is hilarious too, because when Odo goes to Lwaxana and says, "Why don't we take a walk?" and Worf is like,
"Yes, please.
I'd like to take a walk."
Right.
He's like, "Not you, you idiot." So they take a walk, and Lwaxana makes this. It's interesting because she goes into talking about her child that died before, and how it affected her greatly.
Yeah, from the TNG episode.
Yeah, so it was like really interesting. I didn't know about all that. I missed all that for some reason. I don't know why.
We haven't talked about that episode yet, and I know we've been doing the show for 3 years, so it's been more than
many.
Oh yeah, and it's been more than 3 years since we've probably seen the episode too, so it's easy to forget.
Yeah. So, and then she was saying that her food replicator is not working in her quarters, so she has to go to Odo's quarters.
Can I have some tea, Odo?
And they bond so well. I just love these two when they're in their scenes together. They're so fun to watch. And it's like there's a great scene where she's like she feels like the baby kicking and she wants to sit down. Of course, Odo doesn't use chairs in his room. He just has weird stuff all over.
Sculptures and rocks.
So she lays down on the floor and Odo's there with her and has her feel the baby, or has Odo feel her baby. And,
he's so expressive through that makeup too.
He is, and it's just such a cute thing. She falls asleep on her, on Odo, and
he's your replicator isn't really broken, is it? And she's like, no.
No.
And she's like falling asleep on his chest, and
then Odo makes his arms into blankets
and a pillow.
I mean, I just love these two.
It's so cute.
It really was cute.
I do love these two so much. So we get that scene ends. Then Jake goes to Onaya's quarters, and to her credit, she made a Kardashian quarter look pretty cool. She had all the lace and
she
stuff.
made it look like a harem.
It looked really cool.
It did look cool.
For a little you know how those rooms look. They look almost medieval. So Jake feels a little uncomfortable, and she says, "You guys, nothing feel uncomfortable." And he says, "We're here to work."
Let me rub your neck.
And she gives him a pen from a famous writer and tells him that he wrote this famous book, and he says, "You should write on paper because you'll actually feel the writing." And he's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." So he
Daddy, what's paper?
That's when you take wood pulp, son, and you grind it up, and you put it on a paste on a screen, and when it dries, you can write on it.
But why would I want to do that, Dad? I got computers.
I know, son. We gave that up a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
We stopped killing the trees.
Don't murder trees. That's murder, Dad.
That is murder, especially on some planets because the trees are sentient.
Oh.
Can't they just fabricate paper?
They can.
I just want to make sure I'm on the right page.
Hey, but Telly was like, "Hey, is that a book?" I've been rewatching Discovery with Kaylee. So, yes. Is that a book? So, paper is weirdly rare in the future, or just not seen very much.
Well, the only time you actually see it is a couple scenes. Is obviously Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. He gets that antique book, and then Picard always has
a couple
Shakespeare.
books. Yeah,
Shakespeare.
I mean, it's just not practical on a ship where you have limited space.
I mean, Holly, you recently moved. You know how much pain in the ass is to move books?
Yeah.
Holly's
Can I
like
tell you guys how many pounds of books I have, roughly?
2 tons?
No. I have over 900 pounds of books.
Half a ton.
Wow.
Half a ton of books.
That's
Just books.
just shy of half a ton.
Hey, I was close with with the 2 tons.
Mm-hmm.
I was only off by 4 times.
Yeah. It's
So-
pain. Moving books is not...
No,
It's not a
no,
good time.
I have some books too, and my wife just made fun of me because when we moved into our house, she was like, "How many books do you actually have and need?" I'm like, "I don't know, but we have a lot."
All of them.
But need is a strong word when you're talking about books.
So Anaya, then while Jake's writing and he's really getting stimulated, he really starts writing down all his ideas for his novel.
She's
And-
like touching his head.
Sucking out his brain juice.
And then she's like kind of like feeding off his creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get the next scene. The next morning, Lwaxana and Odo are playing hide and seek, which is kind of fun. So she's having fun in the room as Odo takes shapes of other things, and then and she's trying to figure it out. So during that time, Odo gets a call from security saying that Lwaxana's husband has showed up, and he's looking for her. So he goes in and basically is like, "You got to get out of here. You're not allowed. Lwaxana doesn't want you around." But Lwaxana tells Odo that she has to remarry for a few months, so for Tavian law, so they don't to be divorced, and so she can keep the child.
I just think it's crazy that, like, while you are married to someone else, you can marry another person, and then all their rights,
Transfer.
like, it's just, like, gone, and it's just a stupid technical verbiage. It's the woman's husband has care of the child, but it's not the father of the child. So that's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll just get married, and then everything will be fine. And I'm just thinking... You can just do that?
This is Camnia.
Well, not just that, but I was thinking to myself, Lwaxana is a Federation, member. Can't she just say, like, I want to divorce this guy. This guy's an asshole. I don't want to be with him anymore.
And, they were married, from what she says, under the pretense that, quote-unquote, things will be different. Because she's, what is it, Tamarin?
Camnia.
Yeah.
Tavian, sorry, yeah.
Okay, so, and she was like, and we never expected this to happen, but, when we got married, he said that this time it would be different because, we're not the same species, so we could do things differently. And then, I hated the ending.
She's
He said, but we'll get there.
She's also an ambassador. She's not just a member of the Federation. She's an ambassador. She should have some kind of rights or power or something, and she just goes crying to Odo, who's not even part of the Federation, which is kind of strange.
Well, you got to remember she was in love with the guy.
Well, sure, but at the same time, I mean, like, she's not using any of her, like, power that she should have to rectify the issue. I mean, she's a powerful woman. She's a holder of the 6 rings of Beta Z and the sacred chalice and all that other stuff that she's.
Yeah, she's a daughter of the 5th house of Beta Z, holder of the sacred chalice of Riddick's, heir to the holy rings of Beta Z.
Yeah, she's all those things. She's got power, or she should, whatever that stuff means.
She's an important woman. So,
and she knew that the fish people had a bomb on them. So I mean,
yes, she did. All that goes down, and so the husband says, "Well, I'm going to stick around for this sham of marriage." But the problem is, Odo has to really convince everybody and the crowd that he really wants to marry her.
Right.
So that's the weird thing. Meanwhile, Jake is busy writing with his cougar girlfriend.
As David calls her, the succubus.
The succubus with the McKeagles.
The McKeagles.
She knows those Kegels good. She's showing him techniques and stuff.
So during this, he's had such a flood of ideas, and this novel that he had in his mind is really coming to light. But
She's just milking him.
but she's got
kind of in a way, yeah.
yeah
Prostate milking. Mm-hmm.
He has
Okay, no.
he starts getting oh boy.
Dad, what's prostate milk?
Nope.
So Jake has minor nosebleed, but she says you should rest. But Jake's like, no, I can't stop. I gotta keep writing. So
Your
young
dad's
guy-
coming home
Too
soon.
mad about it either.
huh?
She's not too mad. Like, at first, she looked genuinely concerned, and then when he was like, no, I gotta keep going, she was like,
Young guy, keep going, huh?
They keep going all night long when they're
I
young.
know.
No, but she's like,
So-
your daddy coming home. You should go say hi to him.
So
Ask him how them kangaroos was.
They do have 4 penises. Anyways, Odo arranges this surprise wedding, and like you said, the husband is going to be there just to make sure it's all on the up and up.
authentic.
But like we were saying before, Odo has to be genuine on how he basically asks Lwaxana to accept him and marry him.
Mm-hmm.
So while Jake is back with Jake, he's still writing, and his girlfriend tells him that he needs to stop, and he won't stop, and he
forces
basically just is like ready to collapse. So this is where he goes, drinks his
Orange juice.
And it's just before he drinks that orange, he's like, I'm so low on sugar, I need some sugar.
Sustenance.
I got some sugar for you, Jake.
And then he passes out, and he's over in the infirmary with Bashir, and he says that Jake's brain's been overstimulated, and his cerebral cortex on the verge of synaptic collapse. And I don't know what that is, but it seems like he's been overworking.
His brain's going to collapse and fall apart and leak out his ears.
During the night, Onaya materializes in the infirmary and knocks out one of the nurse, and she takes Jake with her to into one of the Jeffrey tubes near the reactor core, just so they can't beam him out, and just to milk his creativity out.
Milk his brain juice through his ears.
That's right. So Jake is
I was watching Sweet Home Alabama earlier tonight, so I'm picking up the accents.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good for me.
Good for you.
Milking him out his ears.
You know, if you milk a man with his ears, you don't get earwax.
Oh.
You get
What do you get? Brain juice?
brain juice.
Brain juice. It's like prune juice, but by brains.
That's right. So Jake is writing, and while he's writing, Onaya's just draining more life out of him. And
Just keep going, keep going. My
is where I
succubus battery is almost full.
this is what gets weird. O'Brien scans the infirmary and finds traces of psionic energy. Dave, do you know how do you scan for psionic energy?
See, you got to roll a d20,
That's what I thought.
and you got to be a fellow psionicist to be able to pick up on the psionic ability. So you got to have a psionicist to track a psionicist, and you got to check your intelligence versus psionicism after you roll that
There you
d20. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it.
There you go. That's
Apparently,
how you do
they
it.
can just build that into the tricorder.
It's all built in the tricorder. So they start looking for him, and this by tracking the psionic energy, they go through the Jeffries tubes, and that's where Cisco finds Jake and his lady friend,
The planet
And-
core.
and he takes a shot at her and doesn't do anything, and she disappears and just kind of floats off of Deep Space Nine, never to be seen again.
I wonder if she's that thing that impregnated Deanna Troi and the child. It's just a little sparkling light that flies around in space.
I don't know if she works that way, but
I didn't say.
Maybe she's got 2 jobs. She's a succubus and a pregnant bus.
maybe
Pregnabus?
Pregnant. She just gets random people preggers.
pregnant. But,
Pregnant bus.
Oh my god.
New term.
So and then the wedding, they get Odo and Lwaxana, and he gives this great speech and basically how Lwaxana accept him for who he was as a changeling because he was afraid that most people would reject him how he is.
And how he just turned to a pile of goo in front of her, and she was like, I still love you, pile of goo.
I still love you, pile of goo. And so her ex-husband now is accepting of it, and the child's safe, and they'll Lwaxana will keep the child and Odo and Lwaxana will probably get a annulment at some point in the future.
But Odo was so serious.
He was. I think he was kind of like, let's do this. Let's
he
really
was
try
like
this.
ready for it.
Yeah, he was really ready for it.
Because he said Kira had moved on to another religious man, and he's just like, he's resigned to it. And she even Lwaxana even walks up to him and she's like, I almost believed every word you said. And Odo, I feel like Odo was going to be ready to say like I did mean it, but no, he didn't. I
think. I mean, granted, I haven't seen any of the previous Odo episodes, so I don't really know the whole story. But the way it was portrayed, it felt to me like he was coming to the realization that he truly did love her, and that this was something that he could really sign on for. And then it didn't happen
because of reasons.
Because she's like, you don't really love me. I'm going to go home and you're going to just try to make it work. And if I stayed here, I try to make you love me and you really wouldn't. And I'm like, I don't think he didn't fight for that very hard.
I think she made a lot of sense.
Well, she did, but
she made a lot of sense.
I think he really did love her. And I think he didn't fight very hard against that.
Because she made so much sense. I mean, you can love someone and
it's not going to work out.
Exactly. I dated a lot of great guys. I wouldn't say a lot of great guys. I dated a couple great guys in high school.
So many great guys. They're fabulous.
I've only ever... I had to let them go because it wasn't going to go any further than, hand-holding and cuddling, and like they were great people, but there was nothing really there. Like, I still care about them and I love to see them successful, but it's a different kind of love.
Yeah, there's the affection love, and then there's actual romantic love. But there's one other thing to think about. Odo was like a hard-boiled security officer on Deep Space Nine, and Lwaxana is like a debutante. She lives like a high,
super horny debutante.
Either way, she's a debutante. So, I mean,
I knew a debutante once. She was not super horny.
They usually aren't.
She barely tolerated me. She gave me a red apple ornament from a Christmas tree.
Not you.
That's an odd story, David.
It happened.
Don't give out names.
Abigail.
Anyways, that's why I think that Odo knew that this was never going to work. And Lwaxana at the very end, when she's like, I'm going back to Beta Z, I think she just knew that this was not going to be a place for her. And she wouldn't want to hang around Deep Space Nine.
It's Warzone Central. Although Beta Z does fall, so I mean, Deep Space Nine might have been safer.
Yeah, true.
Beta Z did fall later on. Like, I think it was Pale Moonlight, they said Beta Z fell.
Yeah, they do. They do say that. So I'm
not sure if that's the episode, but I think it is.
Right. And we get the very last scene with Jake and Cisco. And basically, Cisco read his story and, said it's really good. And obviously he needs to work on it some more. But, Jake says, maybe not now. I need to basically rest. And Cisco just reminds him, those are your words. She just helped bring those words out of you. So she didn't give you those ideas. She just somehow amplified
them or something.
Yeah, amplified them, yeah.
Help them leak out your head.
Yeah. So Dave, Muse, what do you think about this episode?
You see, I picked this episode initially because I really don't like Jake. I don't know. I don't know if you've picked up on this in past episodes and all the weird father-son things me and Aaron do because we think it's funny. But I really don't like Jake, and I really wanted to do an episode that I didn't like because it's been a while since we've done one that we didn't like. Although my plan has failed because I ended up liking this episode because I forgot that Lwaxana Troi was in this episode, and I usually really like Lwaxana Troi episodes. So the Lwaxana Troi part is like the B plot, but I feel like it's really the A plot because the Jake thing doesn't really take much time of the episode at all. which is kind of shocking. So
It's true.
So this episode was way better than I thought it was going to be, because I was really wanting to like have a fun let's tear an episode up that we don't like, and then I think I ended up liking it. I think Aaron did too. I don't know about Holly yet, but it's really, you know, like I was reading the Memory Alpha on it, and David Livingston, the director, and some of the other people behind the scenes really didn't care for the episode. Mm-hmm. And I can kind of see maybe why, because it doesn't really do much as far as like story progression, but it's just kind of, I mean, all the scenes between Odo and Lwaxana are just so good. Like Aaron was saying earlier, they're so cute together, and they work so well. And there's definitely some great chemistry between Renee Aubergenois and Majel Barrett on the set. So I mean, it's just so good, their reactions and how they play off each other. It's just really beautiful and just really meaningful that he would go through and do that and like marry her to help save her child for her. So I mean, it's kind of touching in a way.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, I just love these two together. I wish we got more of that. Obviously, we don't, but it's just so they're just so good together on screen. They have great screen chemistry, and then you feel like this like. They're so awkward as two very different people, but somehow they mash up, and it's so
together they work.
Yeah, it's just so cute, and I love that Odo takes care of her, and she appreciates Odo for who he is, you know, and it's just because Odo always feels like a fish out of water. That's his character, you know. He acts gruff and stuff like that, but I think it's all facade for Odo. I think he's always trying to
just push people away because he doesn't know how to get close.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
I think he's smart enough to know how to get close. I think he's afraid of rejection.
Oh yeah,
that's a
absolutely. Good point. But I think she cuts through it like a hot knife through butter kind of thing. Like she knows like in what she does normally through any social situation. She just kind of just blows right through it, and she goes like, "That's bullshit."
Yeah, you know? I was just gonna say she's the friend that walks into your house when you're having a bad day, and she's like, "I mean, casserole. Let's have some wine and watch Star Trek for the next 6 hours."
Right.
And you're like, "Hi."
Yeah, right, exactly.
Who invited you over?
Oh, and just a piece of trivia. This is the last time Lwaxana Troi is seen on screen.
Yeah,
it's her last appearance.
Yeah, it sucks. Because it's...
I do really like her as a character.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite characters in Star Trek, obviously. She's just so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, who's next? Aaron, what's your take on the episode?
Obviously, I've gushed enough about the Troi and the
Odo
and Odo scenes. I love that a lot. Interesting choice with this, I guess, Muse character or this alien that's like siphoning Jake's creativity, because a Muse doesn't normally work that way. Muse normally gives you the inspiration, but doesn't feed off your energies. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe it's just a twist on the trope.
It is. I mean, in Greek and Roman mythology, it says there's 9 goddesses and the daughters of Zeus, and one of them is a muse that presides over arts and sciences. So that's where it comes from, the idea. But a muse is always the idea is like it's not necessarily a man or a woman. It's just that spirit that overtakes you when you're being creative,
right.
and something takes a hold of you that seems bigger than you are.
Right, and your muse could be something as insignificant as a pocket stone.
It could be. It could be anything. There's a musician, artist, actor that I really like, Tom Waits, and he talks about Muse. And one of his quotes says, "You know, it's the same thing as the question of free will and destiny, the question of creativity. You, the artist, you are not the puppet of the piano. You're not the puppet of the muse." But you're but you're not its master either. It's a relationship. It's a conversation. So he's saying basically, you have this conversation between you and your inspiration. I guess it all comes down to your inspiration. Mm-hmm. Tom Waits also made this joke where he like the muse would hit the idea, or the inspiration will hit him in the weirdest spots. Like he says, I'll be like driving down the freeway and I'll have this great melody pop in my head, and I'm like, really now? Now you're going to do it? Not when I'm sitting in front of the piano or anything, that it all comes to me. Now when I'm in traffic. So now I got to pull over and I got to try to write this down somehow that makes sense. So
Yeah.
So it's just a funny it's a funny dynamic that you have, and I've definitely had moments with that all through my creative life where when I've been heavily involved with music, like I'll have dreams of melodies in my head, and I'll try to figure them out, or you have just words come to you at weird points and during the day, and you just got to try to write it down and try to make sense of what you're doing. It just come to you in bursts, and the more you work on something, and the harder you work on it, the more it comes more frequent. So that's the cool thing, is that whatever, even if you feel that your creativity is kind of like dried up, I think the more you sit down and just work at it, it might not come right away, but it does find you. So maybe that's Jake's problem. Maybe he just needs to work at things more and not have some weird alien chick seduce him. And
He's not trying hard enough on his own. He just waits for weird opportunities to come.
I mean, what do you think about the idea that they're trying to make his creative? I mean, like they're using like this woman kind of the over sexualization of him. At that point, it's funny as a joke, but it's kind of weird, don't you think?
Oh, it's definitely bizarre.
Yeah,
I mean, just that as like this, it's everything is so sexual with her. Like, I mean, her room is set up like she's trying to seduce you and fuck your brains out and take your soul or something like that. But it's very weird.
So I thought, I wasn't quite sure where her angle was, just because I know you guys are saying it was sexual and stuff, but at least the way the actress portrayed herself up until she opened up his chakras, it wasn't for a teenage boy. Yeah, it was a definitely, he definitely thought it was come on, but it was, I don't know, I wouldn't say innocent, because there was definitely something dubious going on, but I don't know, it wasn't so, she wasn't handsy until he sat down, and I don't know.
Isn't that how it always goes, though?
I don't know.
You gotta get him alone before we get handsy. You can't just do that in the middle of the replomat when he's drinking his orange juice.
And he's a teenage boy, and you're
and his dad's the captain of the station.
Oh man,
that's right. What did you think of this episode, Holly?
I had a couple of thoughts. I did think it was kind of pointless. I kept thinking to myself during the episode, why is this titled The Muse when there's clearly no big reason why she's here? It's just a filler episode. And you guys kind of mentioned earlier, the second half of the episode with Odo is a little more intriguing and a little more engaging with the audience. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of pointless. But I'm just gonna say I loved her dress.
Need that dress.
So
Need
stupid.
it.
And I wouldn't choose it for myself, but Lwaxana's second outfit is orange and cream and yellow. That one's really, I thought they did a really good job with that costume. The episode kind of is an interesting episode to talk about this because of what's going on in our world, gender equality, because, the father's going to take the baby away to live with the men and be raised by the men. And
raise it with the men.
Yeah, and in that society, the men are raised by men and the girls are raised by women. The boys are raised by men and the girls are raised by women. And,
the men are raised by girls.
It's just kind of, I was interested that
the women are raised by men. The women are raised by men, and the men are afraid.
Forever afraid.
Oh. But, yeah, I kind of had that thought. I was like, that's interesting, especially with what's going on in today's day and age. And Star Trek is known to take something that's going on in the world and put it out there, spin it, and put it out there for, a different point of view and whatnot. But I wanted to know, did anybody who worked on Star Trek actually write out Jake's story? Because that would be a really cool little novel to read, to know what he actually wrote.
Anselm?
Yeah.
I don't know where Anselm comes from. I don't know what that was. I don't think this ever shows up again, does it, Dave?
Maybe I don't remember if this is before or after the one where like Jake gets old because he thinks his dad died and he has all the books. I mean, like,
right.
He was a famous author, but I don't know if this is one of the books. I assume it would have been, but I think that's earlier in the show because this was like I think season 4, and I want to say that episode was like season 2 or 3. The one where like because I think it was before Cisco got the goatee, if I remember correctly.
So you guys don't know if like you know how they do like the Destiny series, like you don't know if they have like quote unquote Jake, what's his name? Like,
so,
that'd be cool. That'd be cool to have like a little novella.
So in Memory Alpha, for Anselm, they said the background information is not known whether Jake Sisko ever finished the book in the main timeline. We only ever see it finished in an alternate timeline in the Visitor. So there you go, Dave. So you're correct about that.
Okay.
So we see so the Visitor is different. It's him in the future. So we don't know if that future actually comes to be, but. So apparently,
that exact future doesn't because Benjamin never died because that future was predicated on the fact that he died when he was young and that he keeps seeing his father pop in at different times. So that whole episode's a non sequitur.
I know, but my whole point is that we don't know if he actually does it after that. So obviously he starts writing it here in this episode. Apocrypha. Thank you. Deep Space Nine book trilogy Millennium. Anselm is stated to be a part autographical book that Jake works on every now and then, short of excerpts being begin each 3 books. So I guess they kind of like make it kind of the beginning of each book in the book Millennium.
Cool.
And because he did say it was sort of autobiographical, so you could just assume the story of Deep Space Nine that we're seeing is Jake's interpretation of it. And maybe not what actually happened, which is kind of what my working theory is for how Discovery, which is a video I've been wanting to do, I just haven't had time and things going on, were like, to make Discovery fit into the Prime timeline by the fact that by all the Star Trek that we know was told from the point of view of an unreliable narrator. Because if there's another episode, Far Beyond the Stars, which is a fantastic episode, where that Ben Sisko goes back in time and he's Benny, and he's a sci-fi writer for like this newspaper in like the 50s or 40s or something like that.
Right.
And this is when he starts bleeding over into becoming a prophet, and how the prophets are kind of talking to him. And so, because Deep Space Nine intertwines with all other Star Trek series, at least tangentially. It could mean all of Star Trek is written through the lens of Benny and not through the lens of like just someone outside looking at what's happening in time. Mm-hmm. Like normally in a TV show, you just assume you're the point of view of what's happening in time. But with this Benny thing happening, all of Star Trek could be told through an unreliable narrator, and Discovery is the first time we're actually seeing it without that unreliable narrator's lens.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of like my working theory is how Discovery is canon, because the reason Cisco can connect to Enterprise is because Riker was the chef on Enterprise.
Well, but that was through a holograph.
Well, yeah, but you never saw the chef's face, and the chef was in all the seasons, I think. So all of Enterprise could have been holograms.
Possibly.
So all of Enterprise could have just been historical documents, and that's why the canon is all messed up on it. Because I was reading one of Guy's comments on the CBS suing or closing down the Enterprise thing. He talked about how Enterprise ruined canon all over the place. And if all of Enterprise is a holodeck program, canon can be broken because it didn't actually happen that way.
Right.
Interesting.
So all of Star Trek is manufactured. It's all fake. It's why.
Really?
It's why. Yeah. It's why canon.
Show in movies.
It's why canon. It's why canon doesn't line up perfectly, and why Discovery can fit perfectly into canon because it was through an unreliable narrator's lens. That's my soapbox.
That's basically the end of what's it called? Why am I thinking Mary Tyler Moore? It'll come to me later. I'll tell you it later. Anselm is the Bajoran word for father.
Ooh, interesting.
There. So that's it. And I guess on the Star Trek Online novel, Needs of the Many, states that Anselm was considered to be the greatest piece of contemporary literature. So, I mean,
it's probably the only piece of contemporary literature in Star Trek.
I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I was. That was one thing that I thought when he actually signed his name. I was like, oh man, I wonder if there's like a written novel, like someone took this and wrote it out. Like, thought that'd be really cool.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
The show I was thinking about was Newhart, where the guy Bob wakes up at the very end and says, "I had this crazy dream," going back to his old TV show that he had back in the like 70s. But that's basically what it is. It's basically a dream.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that you should probably censor this. I heard that that's how Breaking Bad ended. Like,
no,
the guy woke up and he was like,
nope,
made it all up in his head.
Nope.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch that
Nope.
show.
It ends with Walter White dying, looking proud over some equipment that cooks meth. Oh, he falls down. We don't know if he's dead, but you presume he's dead.
He's dead. Yeah.
Okay. Well, altogether, I think that I enjoyed the episode, but I kind of, like, for the reasons I kind of put forth, that's how I felt about it, aside from my distractions. Aside from the dress, that is definitely a distraction. But Renee, I didn't realize that he was the voice of some of my childhood cartoons. I kept looking at his face, and he's wearing a prosthetic, and hearing his voice, I just kept thinking, like, I know who this person is. Like, why can't I figure it out? Usually I can. And he was in one of my very favorite cartoons when I was growing up was the Pirates of Dark Waters, and he's one of the he's the voice in that. He's Chef Louis in The Little Mermaid, and he's also in Little Nemo, which I freaking loved that movie, and he was in The Last Unicorn. So, like, I mean, there's a lot more. He's done a lot of stuff, but I was just like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I know this voice, and I was getting kind of frustrated, but it was also really exciting to look him up and to discover that he
has been a big part of your life
and in my entertainment. So
that's awesome.
So that was really cool for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he's a quite accomplished actor. He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
So he voiced Mr. House in Fallout New Vegas.
Snorts. He voiced what?
Mr. House in Fallout New Vegas.
Okay. Yeah, he's in everything. He's in games, he's in dramas, he's in comedies, he's in cartoons, he's in the Pound Puppies. Like,
the Pound Puppies.
He does everything.
He's everywhere. He is Odo.
So I thought that was really cool to just kind of like discover that.
That's really awesome.
No, he's all over TV and movies all over the place. So he's got a very long
list of credentials.
He was in Boston Legal with William Shatner.
Yes, he was, of course. Yeah. Pretty cool stuff. So yeah, this is a fun episode. I know it's kind of like you were saying, Holly. It doesn't really, like, you could just take this out and it wouldn't really mean a ton.
Well, you can do that with most episodes of Next Gen and DS9.
Yeah,
many of DS9, not all of them, but
it's just and you're not left with any kind of real moral quandary. But here's a question.
Except feeling bad for Odo.
Yeah. I mean, Odo's always kind of that sad story. You always feel kind of bad for him a little bit. What was I going to say? What would you, if you were to have a choice, would you rather have a long life doing your craft or your art, whatever it is, and maybe not be super famous, but maybe have like a little recognition, or would you rather have a short burst and maybe of life, but have like well known for what you did? Sort of like the Kurt Cobains of the world or whatever.
That's a good question.
What would you rather take? I mean, as she put out to him, says, that's what you want to do. You want to be remembered, don't you? I mean, that's what all artists kind of really want in the end, is just remember what I did. So what is your take on that? I
would rather live a full, long life. I don't care for recognition. I seek joy. In fact, when people give me compliments, that makes me uncomfortable. So
that's very nice of you.
Thanks. I hope people can hear the embarrassment in my voice right now.
You're so humble.
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't want to go out with a bang to be remembered. I just think if that's your goal, then hey, more power to you. But no, a long, happy life of fulfillment and joy. That's what I would choose.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I would choose the long life, because I mean, like, what's the point of being remembered? Like, I mean, I guess if you're not even around to know you're famous, you know what I mean? It's just like,
I know, but think about it. Someone like Vincent van Gogh, or somebody who was a terrible life growing. I mean, like, nobody recognized him at all, and now his painting sells for millions, if not billions, of dollars. Mm-hmm. Nobody cared for his art at all. People just hated him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'd rather not die young.
Let's just all never die. Oh, sorry.
Let's not die.
Because we'll move our thoughts.
Let's try not to die.
Hey, y'all, we're gonna move our thoughts into an android, like on that episode we talked about of Black Mirror.
Schizoid.
Okay, I'm not doing that.
Oh, come on, Holly. You just said you don't want to die young. This is the way we don't die at all.
Yeah.
Don't take that back now.
You're not the person. You're not the thing inside of it. It's a mimic.
Oh, okay. So what if we could artificially keep ourselves alive?
I don't think I'd want to live forever, but I don't want to die. So dying makes me scared. Please stop.
Mortality.
I can't.
Don't hurt me.
No, not with the knife.
Not with the Kegels. Don't break it off. Don't break it off.
So, I don't know. I think now that I have my kids, obviously I feel differently, but I think there was a time I definitely would have taken the short life with more impact on society or my work. But now with the kids, it's a different game.
Perspective has changed.
Yeah. I mean, if I was to be remembered forever, I mean, that would be kind of a cool thing.
I agree it would be cool. I just don't want that to be because I burnt up in like a snowflake in a fire.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about it. I mean, there's certain people that are just like, you can't deny that. I mean, the people like Jimi Hendrix and, like I said, Kurt Cobain and just tons of people who just had a short period of time to be an artist, whatever they are, and they'll be forever remembered who they are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at Heath Ledger's death and the impact that he had on the world. I mean, I don't think he would have chosen that. I don't think he was trying to go out as quickly as possible or, whatever, but I think he was just doing what he loved, and he fell in a little deep, and that's what he's remembered for.
Was that fentanyl that he died of?
I don't know what it was. I think it was a mixture. It was a combination of things. Mm-hmm. At least, he died in 2000, like 11 or 12, right?
It was.
So when I remember listening to it on the radio, I didn't have a desktop or anything, and at least those reports were that like he had seen a couple of different doctors and he was taking medications that were prescribed that he got, and pharmacists. I worked in a pharmacy. If you're going to one pharmacist, they catch any, drug mixes. But if you're getting stuff from multiple pharmacies, or if you're a famous actor and you're traveling around the world, then you got to stop into the Rite Aid because, it's closest to your hotel and you've been working for 16 hours, you know, they're going to fill whatever you have called in, but they don't know that you're taking something that could interact with it. And I think that's what happened. I think he had taken something that interacted with another psychotic medication.
Yeah, it says here, I'm looking on the Wikipedia page now, it says Heath Ledger died in a result of acute intoxication of combined effects of oxycodone, hydrocodone, diazepam, temrazepam, something, slam, and doxylamine. Anyways, so it was a whole concoction of different stuff he was taking. So,
and any pharmacist who saw someone getting that much stuff. I mean, I'm not a pharmacist. I'm not a legal pharmacist, but they would have said, these can't be taken together.
Don't take these.
We're going to call your doctor.
Yeah. That's so much pain medication. Like, what was wrong with him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Psychosis. He had some kind of depression.
Yeah, sorts of. Yeah, insomnia, anxiety, pain. Bunch of stuff. So yeah, it sucks.
So like, it sucks that you these people they died young, and like, I don't think he will go down in history as that actor who took it too far and died. He will go down in history as like, well, look at his career, and like no one can match up to this role his very last role. Like, it's really sad, but he spent his life doing it.
Yeah, for sure. I think his the last movie he did from Terry Gilliam, which was one of my favorite directors, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah.
It's I think it's on Netflix now.
Oh, is it? Because I know I watched it right after it came out, because didn't like Jude Law and two other people stand in for like roles in different parts of time?
Yes, so it was Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to die. But even if take that out of the picture, I'd rather do as much stuff that makes me happy as I can before I get there. I don't need the recognition or the to live on. I mean, my idea of living on once I'm gone is handing down my family's books that I've had that we've had for generations. Like, that's important to me.
Yeah.
Probably won't be important to my kids in the future, where nobody has any paper.
Daddy, what's paper?
I already explained this, son. So,
Holly, what's paper?
But the thing is that, what if you were to be writing those books you'd be handing down? I mean, like, what if that was like, your words and inspiring not just your family, but countless, thousands,
inspiring others, I think leading by example is a great way that we can all inspire others. And if that means taking the slow path and being happy every day, or trying to be as happy as possible every moment you can, I think that I'd rather do that than live fast, die young, bad girls do it well.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I need to make a worldly impact. I know that I was in Buffalo for 3 years, and just at my job, I worked there for a year, and I affected at least 2 people out of the entire restaurant, and that makes me feel good. Granted, my goal was to flip around the whole restaurant, but I'm satisfied knowing that those 2 people are better people and better employees, and they're better to themselves because they don't take any more shit. So, that's important to me.
Yeah, I get that, but what if you were to write like John Lennon's Imagine or something like that? It's just a beautiful idea, and it changed so many people's idea of the world just with one song. I mean, you're just like, wow, I'm not saying, and not everybody. I mean, John Lennon obviously lived a relatively long life before being assassinated. But
By a crazy person.
By a crazy person. Yeah.
I think,
And the little people.
little people. I think it's a noble goal to want to inspire and create good in the world. And if I die early doing that, I'm not going to be around to care that I died early doing that, I guess.
True.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's like, and like I said, but like I said, like, here we have Vincent van Gogh, whose work was not cherished. He was poor his whole entire life, and now his paintings are, and he's literally in almost everybody's homes. They have a print of Vincent van Gogh somewhere,
which does him absolutely no good now.
No, it doesn't.
So I mean, like, that's why I feel like I'd rather have a long, enjoyable life than be remembered forever. Because I mean, like, what good does that do him that he's remembered forever? Like, it's important for us that it's like, oh wow, this guy did something great in the past that I really appreciate. But it's more important for other people than the person that was that person, because they're dead and no longer can experience anything.
I know, but that's the thing, is like, it's not just about you at that point. You've become part of the collective conscience of all society. When you are, if you were, if you're Vincent van Gogh, I mean, like, your images are known worldwide. It doesn't matter. I mean, personally, he's dead. He doesn't care anymore. I mean, he's not getting any of that money. I don't believe he even has an estate that money goes to. So that money is, totally up for anybody who wants to have the rights to it.
Right.
But I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, that's something.
It's something, but it has no intrinsic value to that person anymore. So that means it would have no intrinsic value to me if I became that person. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, could you imagine if Synthaholics, like, let's say you became such a huge cultural phenomenon that everybody wanted to download these episodes, and then we all died in a bus crash with a bunch of nuns or something like that, and we're all known.
How scandalous!
And we're all known after that. We're all known. Forever.
I mean, if that happens, I'm not going to fight it, but I'm just saying, like, if I had the
I think you'll fight the nuns, and that
I was gonna say, what will you be fighting? The flames, the nuns? I don't know what you're how you're gonna stop this fiasco from occurring.
How good are they at Kegels? No,
the Kegels are good.
I don't think they're gonna save you from your fiery death.
Okay,
Those robes.
No. I mean,
pretty quick.
When I mean fight it, I'm not going to fight like being popular. I mean, I'm not going to. If we were to become like this phenomenon, that would be great. But would I choose to die young because of that? No. If we did die young because of it, I mean, it's what's going to happen. But like, if there's a choice in that, I'd rather not die young.
I think that's the case. And the other thing is, I always make the other argument that if like Kurt Cobain or any of these guys that died super young,
their girlfriends didn't kill them,
or that. But I mean, if they were to live, how cheesy would they have become?
Yeah, like,
we're already pretty cheesy. So
but I mean, I'm just saying is like, if you die and you're still young, you're good looking, you put out your best 3 or 4 albums or artworks or novels or whatever like that, everyone loves you, but nobody gets your shit work when you're like in your like 50s or 60s and nobody cares about you anymore.
Right.
So. Not that happens to everybody, but especially rock stars. Usually they're known for the first 2 or 3 albums, and then everything kind of peters out after that.
Right, and like if you think, we're talking Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, they're basically known as the band whose lead singer got shot by his girlfriend.
Or shot himself in the head, one of the two, but
right. Right. Yeah. So they're not really like, they've got a couple of good songs, but that's not like why Nirvana is remembered. They're remembered because of Kurt Cobain.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, Kurt Cobain definitely did a lot of the writing, so yeah, obviously it's kind of his baby. I mean, but Dave Grohl was their drummer, and he started the Foo Fighters.
That's true.
And he became even more popular in some ways. But
I think he's way more popular than Nirvana ever was.
Yeah, but you can't like separate the two. Like you need to have the Nirvana
you need one
first.
Yeah,
to
that's
get
true.
The other. So, but I don't know. It's just an interesting exercise, and I've definitely played with that thought in my head for, I don't know, most of my life. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and in order for like someone like me to take that question really seriously, I would have to really consider what mark I wanted to leave on the world, because I mean, I think I already have, because I really genuinely mean it when I'm like, I just want to affect the people around me rather than the whole world. But like,
Sure.
if my motivation was to affect the entire world, I think that I probably have enough drive to do whatever it takes. So for me personally, I wouldn't. But do I have the ability to change my mind and make the decision to go balls to the wall and see what happens? Yeah, I've got that too.
yeah.
It just kind of depends on my motivator.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything changes too, of course. Like I said, like, you know, even me, like there was
You're
a time
shifted.
where, mine is like, hey, I'd rather just be around for my kids, you know, and see them grow up and be there for them, you know. So not that I was planning on dying young, but
Right.
but you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave. Anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think we've kind of exhausted the Muse. I mean, it's definitely an interesting topic, bringing it up. Like,
She's so tired. Send her home.
Huh?
The Muse.
Oh yes, she's been stroking our Kegels all night.
Eagles.
I can't stop saying it.
I can't decide, like, it's like Synthaholics. It's like, it started out with, you know, it's very serious breaking news. And then it turned to Kegels. And
Yeah,
then it got really philosophical. And now it's back to Kegels.
You know, you gotta, you know, it's a roller coaster, man. You gotta ride it. You gotta just news, then we gotta get serious, then we gotta get Kegels, then we gotta get philosophical. We gotta do a little bit of everything.
We do.
This is what we do. A little bit of everything.
Maybe I'm a little ignorant, but I don't know if men can do Kegels.
It's pelvic floor exercises, so I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone's got a pelvic floor. I think. I mean, we have pelvises, so
I think the pelvic floor is like at the top of a woman's uterus.
I mean, I think it's like
I'm not sure.
It's the muscle that helps you like hold it if you pee. Like you can like control your stream. I think it's the same muscle.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't have a penis, so
I guess you'll never know.
I'll never know.
We'll never know.
Well, your penis isn't what makes you pee. There's mechanisms on the inside. It's this.
Yeah, but my no. Kegels have nothing to do with women peeing, so I don't know how it works for men. I'm sorry.
I'm flexing.
Don't hurt yourself.
Oh, it hurts.
See, very serious. And
I
then
know.
Kegels, and then philosophy, and now we're back to weird, crazy.
Weird shit.
I'm sorry.
Why didn't I decide to get drunk this time?
I know.
I know, right?
You've been enjoying
You
yourself.
should. Synthaholics is the time where we all should be getting drunk, and you, the listeners, if you're not at work, we encourage the use of alcohol.
Yeah, unless you're driving in your
not driving, and if you're not at work, unless your work's cool with that.
No,
I was
drink
able
and drink.
I was able to drink at work when I worked at my previous employer. That was pretty cool.
What? You should never drink at work.
Oh, we had Oktoberfest at work, and we got to drink at work. It was pretty sweet. And they handed out the Oktoberfest mugs at that place.
Oh yeah, they did.
Were you
They
clocked
did.
in?
Huh?
Oh yeah, they allowed it, but you weren't supposed to get
No, so one of our guys would do beer runs and bring it to the data center. It was great.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we got to drink beer on the job. It was awesome. And then the Great Purge happened.
Because everyone was drunk.
Right.
Unfortunately, I think everyone was sober at that point. But
what you didn't know was all those beers, they were a test.
They were.
Everyone who drinks those is getting let go.
No, I was the only one that got let go in my department, which really sucked.
Yeah, I never really drank, so I still got let go. But whatever. Yeah. Layoffs suck.
They do. Yeah. But there was the Muse, Philosophical and Kegels at your
Can we think of a
pleasure.
different name for it? Because I just feel like it shouldn't have been called the Muse. Because maybe something around like
the child, the child again.
The child again.
Marriage.
Changeling that never marriage.
The change.
Marriage is what brings us together.
Die. That was an arrangement.
But something that's not the Muse, because
it's such a small part of the episode.
The plot. It's just that it shouldn't. They shouldn't have picked something so specifically on a different side of the episode. Like they should have found some kind of commonality between the two things and named it that.
I just hope more than
things like this.
I just hope after all of that Jake got a little action from that lady, because it looked like it was going that way, but never really happened.
Hey.
So maybe off screen she got
wait, what if Odo is the Muse?
What?
Yeah, he the way he spoke eloquently for Lwaxana. Oh.
No, she was his muse to make him speak so eloquently.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. Maybe she was the Muse.
Okay, there's the tie-in. I'll accept that.
She was. She was, definitely. I mean, she made him. She inspired him, made him feel a better person.
Yeah, that's the tie-in. Perfect. So she comes in and messes with Odo, and then the other lady comes in and messes with Jake, the Muse.
Okay, see, changes how I feel about the story now.
Yeah,
because it makes sense.
It does make sense.
No longer pointless.
Pointless. It's all pointless.
We made a breakthrough. Sounds good.
Yes. It's because we talked it out.
Kegels.
All right, class.
Kegels are what brings us here together today. That blessed muscle flexment.
I'm reading about Kegels right now. I was kind of ignorant towards what they were, but it does say a bonus for Kegel exercises. You can help have more intense orgasms and improve your erections. So
interesting. So it does work for men.
See, yeah, that's great.
I didn't know this, so
I didn't know that either.
I'm just spreading knowledge throughout Synthaholics and all of our listeners. So thanks, Aaron, for looking that up and get us some more detailed information on Kegels. All our music you can find at all our music is provided by Warp 11. You can find them at warp11.com or Warp 11 on Twitter. Our intro is provided by Dave Wilkes. The show you can find at Synthaholic Duo. I personally am at David_J_Duncan. Aaron is at Blackbird 2004, and Holly is at Lunar Thistle.
Hey, and if you need to find more information about Kegels, you can definitely go to our webpage. We'll have a whole don't ask Holly. Because she doesn't have a penis. And she never will. So.
You can buy one, though.
What was that? We were talking about gender equality and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
equal for everyone. You can get one if you want.
Penises for everyone.
Go to Amazon and order one.
In Bernie Sanders' world, it'd be penises for everyone. All right, so... Yeah, so with all that in mind, definitely go to Apple iTunes, rate and view us. Let us know if you've done your Kegel exercises and give us 5 stars. If you can also, please go to Patreon /Synthaholics if you have any money to throw our way to encourage us to have more shows and that we can give you more Kegel information. A little money in our pocket goes a long way. Also, as we always point out, a great way to tell people about Kegel exercises is have them tune in to Synthaholics. Let people know about Synthaholics and all the Kegels that they could be doing.
If you don't want to be ignorant, just
you don't want to be ignorant.
We teach biology on this show, guys.
Exactly. This is shit you need to know, people. So yeah, word of mouth is a wonderful way to support the show.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to all the wonderful Kegel information. Thank you, Aaron and Holly, for joining me. It's been a long time getting from there to here. It's been great seeing you guys and getting to talk with you guys. It's been a long time, and thanks everyone out there for being patient with us. Live long and prosper, one and all.
Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink and we'll cry till we laugh. And we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
I got a leaky bladder.
Get some Kegels.
Kegels.
A Kegel infection.
I know I've heard of Kegels before this, but the one line that I have seen from a movie. Have you guys seen Blended?
Blended.
Adam Sandler, the newest Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore movie.
No.
Oh my god, it's so good. Okay, so there's just this part where Drew Barrymore is at the drugstore and she's getting tampons for a teenage girl. So she's got these little slender tampons and she goes to pay for them. And the lady at the counter is like, the Slenders? You must be doing your Kegels. She's like, nowadays I gotta tape 6 of these together.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's great. That's great.
You have not seen... Okay, Blended is one of my very favorite movies of all time. It's better than The Wedding Singer, I think.
Really? Better than The Wedding Singer?
Yes, because it's more of a family, you know. It's about